Ladies and gentlemen, when we talk about the creatures that cross our path, many people dismiss them as ordinary interruptions, insignificant movements of nature that carry no deeper meaning. Yet throughout Scripture and throughout history, God has used creation to speak in quiet, symbolic, and unexpected ways. When certain animals show up around your home, it is often more than coincidence. It is a gentle nudge, a reminder, a signal that something is shifting in the unseen realm. There are moments when God does not shout, he whispers, and sometimes those whispers come wrapped in feathers, wings, or tiny footsteps. These subtle encounters can serve as signs of provision, reassurance, movement, and even financial blessing. When these creatures appear, they do not bring wealth literally. Rather, their presence can symbolize that heaven is preparing a new flow of increase, a new opportunity, or a new season that you may not yet see with your natural eyes. People often pray for breakthrough but overlook the hints God places around them that say, something is coming, something is aligning, something is being prepared for you. Certain animals in nature carry specific characteristics that align with spiritual principles of prosperity. The ant symbolizes discipline and increase. The butterfly symbolizes transformation. The bee symbolizes productivity. The ladybug symbolizes favor. The dove symbolizes peace and provision. These aren't random associations. They are patterns observed across cultures, across centuries, and even across the pages of Scripture. And when these symbols appear at your doorstep or inside your home, they can serve as reminders to pay attention, because God often begins his movements quietly. Before breakthrough comes, before doors open, before opportunities arrive, there are signs. These animals act like small indicators placed in your environment to awaken your spirit to expectancy. Wealth does not always arrive with noise. More often, it begins with subtle shifts, quiet preparations, and gentle confirmations that God is setting something in motion. Many people have chased away the very symbols that were meant to encourage them. Instead of seeing meaning, they saw inconvenience. Instead of seeing a sign, they saw a nuisance. Yet God uses the simple things to speak profound truths. He used a burning bush to call Moses, a raven to feed Elijah, a donkey to warn Balaam, a dove to confirm peace after the flood. Creation has always been one of God's communication tools. So when an unexpected animal enters your home, pause for a moment, pay attention. Something might be aligning in your favor. It may be a message that increase is coming quietly, unexpectedly, and in ways you did not predict. Sometimes the presence of these creatures marks the beginning of a shift in atmosphere. The environment around you starts to respond to the movement of God before you do. Nature recognizes blessing arriving before humans discern it. Unexpected wealth is not always about money arriving instantly. Sometimes it begins with God restructuring your mindset. Sometimes it begins with the removal of obstacles. Sometimes it begins with ideas, strategies, or connections entering your life. But before those manifestations come, God often sends small reminders that you are stepping into a season where things will start to turn in your favor. These animals show up carrying symbolic messages. Prepare, pay attention, be expectant, stay ready. They come not to be feared, swatted away, or ignored, but to awaken you to the awareness that you are not forgotten and you are not overlooked. The God who clothes the lilies and feeds the sparrows is still involved in the smallest details of your life, including the creatures that cross your threshold. When these animals appear, they also remind you of the posture of heart needed for financial growth. The ant teaches consistency, the bee teaches productivity without chaos, the butterfly teaches transitioning gracefully, the dove teaches peace as the foundation for blessing, the ladybug teaches favor that finds you. These symbols are not random. They point to spiritual attitudes that unlock prosperity. Many people pray for overflow but carry anxiety, disorder, procrastination, or fear. These animals appear as symbolic mirrors, reflecting qualities needed for increase. They remind you to align your habits with the blessings you are asking God for. Because wealth is not only what you receive, it is who you become while preparing to receive. There are times when people miss seasons of divine provision simply because they were not observant. They asked for breakthroughs but ignored the signs that the season was shifting. When these animals appear unexpectedly, consider it an invitation to discern what God might be setting in motion. Perhaps a new opportunity is forming. Perhaps a closed door is about to open. Perhaps a financial burden is about to lift. These quiet creatures carry the message that something is changing in the atmosphere, that the winds of blessing are beginning to move, that hidden pathways to wealth are being uncovered. So when you see these animals visiting your home, don't chase them away with frustration or fear. Instead, pause. Reflect. Ask yourself what season you are entering. Ask what God might be highlighting. Ask what quality He may be urging you to sharpen. These creatures may be small, but the messages they carry are often large, significant, and timely. They remind you that divine provision is not always loud, obvious, or dramatic. Sometimes it begins with a whisper delivered through the simplest visitor at your door. When you look at the ant, you are not simply looking at a tiny creature moving across the floor or carrying crumbs twice its size. You are looking at a symbol that has carried spiritual meaning for thousands of years, a living illustration of increase, strategy, and disciplined movement toward abundance. The ant is often overlooked because of its size, yet its size is not a limitation. It is a testimony. It testifies that greatness starts small, that prosperity often begins quietly, that wealth is rarely explosive at first. It grows one grain at a time. When the ant appears in your home, it is not always a sign to panic or respond with frustration. Sometimes it is a gentle reminder that God builds blessings through consistency, not chaos, and through diligence, not sudden miracles alone. The ant represents the kind of increase that forms layer by layer until the small becomes something substantial. The ant moves with purpose. It never wanders. It never wastes energy. Everything it does contributes to something larger than itself. This is why the presence of an ant often symbolizes a shift toward disciplined prosperity. Many people desire wealth, but without order, without commitment, without daily small actions, increase cannot be sustained. The ant challenges you to examine your habits. Are you gathering something each day? Are you moving with intention? Are you building something even when no one sees it? These tiny creatures carry the message that if you are willing to take small but steady steps, you will eventually reach a place of overflow. They remind you that God blesses diligent hands, that quiet effort produces loud results, and that small opportunities, when handled with care, turn into unexpected harvests. Ants never work alone. They understand community, cooperation, alignment, and partnership. When they appear, they may also be signaling that your next season of financial blessing will not be something you accomplish in isolation. There will be connections you must honor, people you must learn from, relationships you must value. Wealth often flows through networks, not islands. The ant teaches you that no vision becomes great by being disconnected. Its presence whispers that the people you join with, the teams you build, and the agreements you make will influence the outcomes of your financial journey. It is a reminder that pride isolates but wisdom collaborates. Sometimes the path to increase requires humility, to work with others, to seek counsel, to share burdens, and to receive help when needed. Another powerful truth the ant symbolizes is preparation. Ants store, gather, and build long before the season demands it. They prepare in abundance for the time when resources may not be as easily available. Their presence in your home may be a sign that this is your season to prepare for something bigger, something coming soon, something God is arranging that you must be ready for. There are blessings that many people miss not because God withheld them, but because they were unprepared to handle them. The ant reminds you that what you build today determines what you can hold tomorrow. Preparation is a form of faith. It is action that demonstrates expectation. When you prepare, you declare that you believe greater things are on the way. The ant also teaches responsibility and stewardship. It does not squander. It does not risk what it has for momentary comfort. It gathers with focus, guards what it collects, and uses everything efficiently. This is a spiritual principle of wealth. God increases what he can trust. When the ant appears, it may be urging you to examine how you handle what you already have. Before financial increase comes, God often prompts you to structure your finances, clarify your priorities, cut unnecessary waste, and steward your resources with greater wisdom. The ant is a reminder that wealth flows toward order, not disorder, toward clarity, not confusion, toward discipline, not impulse. Even the way ants work quietly carries a message. They do not draw attention. They do not boast. They do not make noise as they build. This silence represents a form of maturity in the journey toward prosperity. Not every blessing requires announcement. Not every plan needs exposure. Not every step of your progress should be visible. Sometimes God increases you most when you work in silence, when you protect your ideas, when you develop privately. The ant's quiet labor teaches that true breakthroughs do not always begin publicly. They begin in hidden places in the heart, in disciplined routines, in quiet moments of effort that no one applauds. And suddenly, one day, the quiet becomes visible, and the small becomes undeniable. The ant also symbolizes persistence. It doesn't quit when a barrier appears. If something blocks its path, it finds another way. If something falls, it lifts it again. If the path is long, it continues without hesitation. When an ant shows up in your environment, it may be a reminder that persistence is the key to unlocking what you have been praying for. Many give up when things feel slow, when results take time, or when obstacles appear. But the ant teaches that slow progress is still progress, and consistency achieves what intensity alone cannot. Its presence pushes you to keep moving, keep working, keep believing, and keep building even when you do not yet see the harvest. And finally, the ant symbolizes the kind of increase that sneaks up on you. It doesn't arrive with fanfare. It accumulates quietly until one day you look up and realize something significant has formed. When God begins to move you into a season of wealth through the principle of the ant, it means the increase will be steady, stable, sustainable, and built on strong foundations that cannot be easily shaken. When a butterfly enters your environment, glides into your home, or crosses your path with its gentle, effortless movement, many people shrug it off as a simple moment in nature. But spiritually, symbolically, and even emotionally, the butterfly carries one of the strongest messages about transformation, renewal, and the quiet entry into a better season. The butterfly is a reminder that before beauty comes struggle, before elevation comes confinement, and before financial breakthrough comes a shift in identity and mindset. Its presence whispers that something in your life is changing behind the scenes. even if you cannot yet see the full picture. It is the kind of sign that suggests you are being moved from limitation into expansion, from smallness into visibility, from heaviness into freedom, and from old cycles into fresh opportunities that carry the potential to reshape your financial future. The butterfly begins life as a caterpillar, a creature limited in mobility, restricted in appearance, and bound to the ground. It lives small and moves slowly, confined to a very narrow world. Yet within that humble creature is an unseen future waiting to emerge. When the caterpillar enters the cocoon, it undergoes a process that looks like isolation, feels like darkness, and resembles loss. Nothing about the cocoon looks like progress. Nothing about stillness looks like advancement. But in that hidden place, transformation is happening that cannot be reversed. This is why the butterfly symbolizes financial change, because many people mistake their cocoon season for failure when, in reality, it is preparation for elevation. The butterfly reminds you that what looks like delay is often development, and what looks like stagnation is actually God reshaping your life from the inside out. When a butterfly appears near you, it may be a sign that your old financial mindset is shedding. You may not notice it consciously, but something inside you is being rewired. The way you think about money, the way you perceive opportunities, the way you value your potential, the way you view limitations. Transformation begins long before it becomes visible. The butterfly teaches that the invisible work is the most powerful work. Before you see breakthrough on paper, you experience breakthrough in perception. Before income changes, perspective changes. Before you step into abundance, you step into clarity. The butterfly's visit can be a gentle announcement that you are outgrowing old fears, old beliefs, old patterns, and old ways of handling your resources. It reminds you that financial elevation begins internally before it manifests externally. The butterfly also symbolizes release from what once held you. Its wings were not always wings, they were a promise waiting to unfold. In the same way, the dreams you carry, the goals you have buried, the desires for a better financial reality may be preparing to unfold into something visible and attainable. The appearance of a butterfly may be telling you that a long-standing burden is lifting, that limitations are breaking, or that a season of tightness is giving way to a season of expansion. You are not meant to stay in the same place emotionally, spiritually, or financially. Just as the butterfly cannot remain on the ground after it has learned to fly, you cannot remain in cycles that no longer fit the person you are becoming. The presence of a butterfly announces movement, movement into brightness, into possibility, into a new chapter. The butterfly's beauty is effortless, but its process was not. This teaches an important financial principle. The breakthrough you eventually enjoy might look sudden to others, but you know it was not sudden at all. It was the result of an internal shift, a quiet season of growth, and moments of private change that no one saw. People may look at your prosperity later and say, it happened overnight, and not realizing how much transformation occurred within you before anything showed up externally. The butterfly reminds you that your journey will not always be understood by others. Some will only see the wings but never understand the cocoon. Yet that should not discourage you. It should reassure you that God works quietly before he works visibly. When butterflies appear, they also symbolize alignment with timing. A butterfly cannot emerge before its appointed time. It cannot rush its wings into existence. It cannot break free prematurely. It must wait until the transformation is complete. Financial blessings, opportunities, and elevation work the same way. When a butterfly visits your home, it may be a sign that your appointed time is drawing near. Not too early, not too late, exactly when you have been prepared enough to handle the blessing. It is a reminder that timing matters in prosperity. Many people want success instantly, but instant success without inner maturity leads to collapse. The butterfly teaches divine timing, the kind of timing that brings sustainable, beautiful, and purposeful elevation. Another message the butterfly brings is freedom from the heaviness of old seasons. Butterflies are light. They carry no unnecessary weight. In contrast, many people carry emotional, mental, or financial burdens that limit their ability to rise. When a butterfly appears, it may symbolize that God is calling you to release something. A fear, a debt pattern, a mindset, a toxic connection, or a limitation you have accepted for too long. It may be urging you to let go of what weighs you down so you can step into what lifts you up. Financial breakthrough often requires releasing the familiar so you can receive the extraordinary. The butterfly gently reminds you that you cannot fly if you insist on dragging your past alongside you. The butterfly is a symbol of joy as well. Its colors, its movement, its softness, all of these carry emotional meaning. Prosperity is not only about money, it is also about emotional health, peace, creativity, and the ability to enjoy life. When a butterfly enters your environment, it may be signaling that joy is returning, that heaviness is lifting, that hope is reviving. And when joy returns, opportunities follow. A renewed spirit creates a renewed path. A hopeful mind attracts possibility. The butterfly announces that beauty is returning to your atmosphere, that color is returning to your world, and that better days are unfolding quietly but surely. When you see a butterfly, recognize that it may not be simply passing by. It may be reminding you that you have survived what once tried to limit you. It may be telling you that your transformation is nearly complete. It may be signaling that your financial journey is shifting into a higher, brighter dimension. It may be whispering that the wings you have been developing in your hidden season are ready to unfold. When a bee or a dragonfly enters your space, it is easy to assume it is just another moment in nature, something ordinary, accidental, and without spiritual weight. But these two creatures carry messages that speak loudly about productivity, acceleration, and the sudden movement of blessings that have been forming quietly in the background. They represent moments in life when the atmosphere shifts, when your efforts begin to produce results, and when delays give way to divine speed. Their appearance often signals that God is stirring something in the unseen realm, preparing your hands, your environment, and your opportunities for a season where what was slow becomes fast, and what seemed stagnant begins to move again. The bee is a symbol of purposeful work. It does not wander. It does not waste time. Every flight, every movement, every collection has meaning. When a bee enters your home or circles around you, it can be a sign that the work you have been doing, whether in silence, in sacrifice, or in consistency, is about to bear fruit. Bees carry the message that your labor is not in vain, even if the results have taken longer than expected. There are seasons when people plant faithfully but see no immediate harvest, and discouragement begins to settle in. The bee reminds you that some breakthroughs require patience, but when they arrive in abundance. Just like bees produce honey through countless small actions, financial blessings often come through a collection of seemingly small efforts that eventually create something sweet, valuable, and lasting. Bees also represent structure. Their hives are perfectly organized, beautifully efficient, and incredibly productive. This is a direct reflection of the principle that prosperity flows where there is order. Many people desire increase, but increase cannot settle where there is disorganization, confusion, or lack of clarity. The presence of a bee may be urging you to bring structure to your plans, discipline to your routines, and clarity to your goals. It may be a sign that the next season of blessing will require you to align your life more intentionally, so that when the harvest comes, you are prepared to handle it. Prosperity requires more than desire. It requires alignment, focus, and intentional stewardship. The bee symbolizes the order that leads to abundance. Bees also carry sweetness. Their honey is symbolic of pleasant results, gentle blessings, and breakthroughs that bring joy rather than stress. When a bee visits your space, it can represent the beginning of a season where things start working in your favor without strain. Opportunities flow with more ease. Doors open without force. The striving that once drained you is replaced by favor that gently lifts you. The bee's presence is like a small announcement that the bitter season is ending and the sweet season is beginning. On the other hand, the dragonfly carries a different kind of message, one of speed, agility, and rapid transformation. While the bee works steadily, the dragonfly moves swiftly. Its wings shift directions effortlessly, symbolizing seasons in life when God accelerates what once moved slowly. A dragonfly appearing near your home can be a sign that things are about to happen much faster than you expected. Answers that were delayed will suddenly arrive. Opportunities that seemed distant will draw near. Projects that felt stuck will begin to move. The dragonfly reminds you that God can compress time, redeem wasted years, and propel you forward with supernatural momentum. The dragonfly's ability to change direction without losing balance is also symbolic. It represents flexibility, adaptability, and the kind of spiritual agility required for seasons of breakthrough. Sometimes blessings come in unexpected ways. Sometimes financial increase appears through opportunities you did not anticipate. The dragonfly encourages you to stay open, stay ready, and stay sensitive to shifts in direction. It reminds you that when God accelerates you, you must be willing to move, pivot, and adjust without fear. Rigid thinking can sabotage a season of rapid blessing, but flexible faith allows you to embrace what God is doing. Dragonflies also symbolize clarity. Their eyes have nearly 360-degree vision, allowing them to see what other creatures cannot. When a dragonfly appears, it may represent the release of new insight, new understanding, or the unveiling of something that was previously hidden. Financial elevation often begins with clarity. Clarity about your gifts, your decisions, your opportunities, and the environment around you. The dragonfly whispers that confusion is lifting, that fog is clearing, and that God is giving you the ability to see what you need to see to move forward. When you have clarity, decisions become easier, strategies become sharper, and progress becomes faster. The combination of the bee and the dragonfly appearing in your environment symbolizes a powerful season ahead. A season of productive work and rapid results. The bee teaches diligence, the dragonfly teaches acceleration. Together, they represent the miraculous partnership of human effort and divine speed. This is the kind of season where what you build with consistency meets what God moves with power. It is the merging of preparation and opportunity, of discipline and favor, of sowing and sudden reaping. Their presence encourages you to believe that the work you are doing is not wasted. It challenges you to strengthen your structure, elevate your focus, and continue sowing faithfully. At the same time, it warns you not to underestimate how quickly God can change your circumstances. What took years to build can take a moment to elevate. What was slow can become fast. What was blocked can open suddenly. The bee carries the principle of steady building. The dragonfly carries the promise of sudden acceleration. When these creatures show up near you, they may be signaling a shift in the atmosphere around your finances, your opportunities, your career, or your personal growth. They point to a season where the unseen becomes seen, where hidden seeds produce visible harvest, and where long-standing delays break under the weight of divine movement. When a ladybug or a dove enters your home, it is rarely random. These two gentle creatures carry some of the most tender and reassuring symbols of divine favor, peace, and quiet blessings that arrive without striving. They represent seasons when God moves not with thunder but with stillness, not with force but with grace, not with stress but with smooth and peaceful transitions. Their presence often signals that something good is drawing near, something not earned by toil alone, but granted through favor, alignment, and divine kindness. They appear in moments when you need reassurance, when your heart needs calming, when your mind needs lifting, and when your atmosphere needs to be reminded that God still sends blessings soft enough to enter through an open window. The ladybug is one of the most widely recognized symbols of good fortune, gentle favor, and pleasant surprises. Its presence is small, quiet, and humble, yet the message it carries is powerful. When a ladybug lands on you or appears in your home, it can be a sign that something good is about to find you, not because you chased it, not because you forced it, but because divine favor has begun to move on your behalf. Many times in life, people exhaust themselves trying to force doors open. They push, strain, worry, and wear themselves out trying to create opportunities through their own strength. The ladybug reminds you that there are some blessings you don't have to force. There are doors that open for you simply because God wills it. There are breakthroughs that come not through effort, but through alignment. There are financial surprises that find you like a gentle landing on your hand. The ladybug's bright color represents joy, hope, and renewed optimism. When it appears, it may be signaling that your emotional atmosphere is shifting, that heaviness is lifting, and that a new sense of hope is being restored. Before money changes, the heart often shifts first. Before opportunities arrive, discouragement leaves. Before blessings manifest, faith awakens again. The ladybug carries this message: prepare to experience joy again. Prepare for unexpected blessings. Prepare for doors that open with ease rather than struggle. The ladybug also symbolizes protection. Farmers have always valued ladybugs because they protect crops by feeding on harmful pests. Spiritually, this can represent the removal of obstacles, the clearing of invisible battles, and the protection of your harvest from unseen threats. When a ladybug visits, it may be a sign that God is protecting your finances, shielding your opportunities, and covering your efforts from forces that would try to hinder them. Sometimes the favor God gives is not in the form of increase, but in the form of protection. Protection from loss, protection from bad decisions, protection from wrong partnerships, protection from hidden danger. The ladybug's presence may be reminding you that God is safeguarding what he is about to bless. On the other hand, the dove carries a message of peace, calmness, and divine presence. When a dove enters your environment, the atmosphere itself seems to change. There is a sense of quietness, stillness, and reassurance that settles around you. The dove represents the kind of blessing that does not disturb your peace but multiplies it. Many chase success that ends up costing their peace. They pursue wealth at the expense of rest. They achieve their goals but lose their soul's calmness. The dove shows you a different path. Prosperity that flows with peace, financial increase that does not rob your rest, and blessings that enhance your life instead of draining it. The dove is also a symbol of divine messages. Throughout history, the dove has appeared as a sign of confirmation, direction, and reassurance. When a dove shows up, it may be signaling that God is about to give you clarity regarding a decision you've been struggling with. Perhaps you've been unsure about a business step, a career transition, a financial investment, or a new opportunity. The dove's presence often comes with a quiet whisper that peace will guide you. Whatever brings peace is a line. Whatever disrupts peace is not meant for you. The dove teaches that peace is a compass, a guide, and a protector of your destiny. Doves also represent new beginnings. After the flood, the dove returned with an olive branch, a sign that the storm was ending, the waters were receding, and the world was entering a new chapter. When a dove enters your home, it may be carrying the same symbolic message: the storm is ending. The stress is lifting, a new chapter is beginning, what once felt overwhelming is settling, what once felt chaotic is calming. The dove represents a fresh start in your finances, your opportunities, and your emotional life. It may be signaling that the old cycle is closing and a peaceful, more prosperous season is approaching. Just like the ladybug, the dove teaches that not all blessings require striving. Some blessings come through obedience, through peace, through trust, and through alignment with God's timing. Their presence reminds you that divine favor is not earned through anxiety, but received through rest. Many people believe they must constantly push to see results, but these creatures deliver a different message. God can bring opportunities to your doorstep. God can place provision in your path. God can bring the right people, the right connections, the right ideas, and the right timing into your life without you exhausting yourself. Together, the ladybug and the dove represent one of the most beautiful dimensions of divine provision. Blessings that come gently, peace that comes quietly, and favor that arrives without force. They symbolize the kind of wealth that does not break you but builds you, the kind of increase that brings joy rather than pressure, the kind of prosperity that enhances your life instead of complicating it. Their appearance encourages you to trust that God has ways of bringing unexpected increase into your life, ways that are soft, smooth, and peaceful. They remind you that not every blessing roars, some blessings whisper. They remind you that not all wealth arrives with noise, some arrives with calm. They remind you that divine favor often enters the room the same way a dove or a ladybug does, quietly, gently, softly, but undeniably. When creatures like the cat or the sparrow step into your environment, they often carry more than their physical presence. They carry a message, a whisper of assurance, a reminder that heaven has not forgotten you. Sometimes the smallest visitor can interrupt the routine of your day, and in that interruption is a gentle sign that provision is closer than you think. A cat wandering into your home, sitting calmly at your doorstep, or pausing near your window can be a symbol of divine protection. That unseen forces are watching over your household and safeguarding what belongs to you. There are moments when you feel surrounded by pressures, financial uncertainties, or decisions that weigh heavily on your mind, and then a creature appears, quiet, gentle, unbothered by the tension that surrounds your life. That calmness itself becomes a message. What threatens you will not break you because a greater protection is covering you. It is as though creation itself is reminding you that you are not fighting alone, and that the God who clothes the animals and watches the birds is also watching over your needs. The sparrow, a tiny bird with no strength of its own, no grand display, no visible power, comes with a reassurance that you are not overlooked. This little creature carries the message that if something so small, so seemingly insignificant, is cared for with such precision, then your life, your future, your finances, and your household are also in the palm of divine provision. When a sparrow lands near your home, sings its simple song, or pauses on your balcony or window, it may be a quiet nudge to remind you of God's promise that even the smallest detail of your life is fully seen. You may not feel important in the world's eyes, you may not see the progress you desire, but heaven has not forgotten your address. The visitor comes to break the lie of insignificance, to whisper that you are deeply valued and the resources you need are being prepared in ways you cannot yet see. Both the cat and the sparrow carry this message of reassurance in different forms, one through presence, one through sound, one through stillness, the other through movement, one through watchfulness, the other through song. Yet both point to the same truth, that provision is coming, that God is not blind to your needs, and that sometimes the answer begins with a sign so subtle that you might miss it unless your heart is attentive. When these creatures visit your home, they may be revealing the atmosphere shifting around you, the spiritual climate changing, the heaviness lifting, and the favor of God drawing near. The visit may be telling you that what you have prayed for is already on its way, even though you have not seen the evidence. These animals remind you to trust again, to hope again, to believe again, because the God who guides them knows exactly where you live and exactly what you need. There are seasons when fear tries to overwhelm you, when financial pressure whispers that you are alone. But these creatures show up with a different message. They appear not by accident, but as part of a divine orchestration that works through nature, through creation, through the ordinary moments of life to assure you that you are under divine supervision. A cat lying peacefully in your courtyard can be a picture of the peace that is about to rest upon your household. A sparrow landing gently near your window can be the echo of the promise that your Father knows what you need before you even ask. These are small signs, but small signs often precede big breakthroughs, and recognizing them trains your heart to see what God is doing behind the scenes. Sometimes you have been overwhelmed with responsibilities, feeling the weight of providing for your family, working hard, stretching your strength, trying to hold everything together. And then a sparrow arrives, light, effortless, carefree, reminding you that what weighs heavily on you is not heavy for God. Or a cat appears unafraid, confident, calmly walking through the space that belongs to you, as though declaring that anything threatening your household must pass through divine authority. These creatures show no anxiety because they reflect a reality greater than what you feel. Their presence becomes a mirror, revealing the kind of peace you are meant to carry. In moments when you start doubting whether provision will come, whether opportunities will open, whether breakthroughs will finally reach your home, these animals serve as gentle messengers, quietly declaring that your story is not forgotten. They bring reassurance that your needs are acknowledged in heaven and that preparation for your blessing is already in motion. They come as a reminder that your prayers have been heard, that your waiting is not in vain, and that the God who uses even the smallest creatures to speak is the same God who is arranging the resources, connections, and favor you need. They come as subtle signs that the provision you've been asking for is not far away, and that peace, clarity, and breakthrough are drawing near to your home.